Okay, I'm just gonna be gentle because clearly this is not happening. Welcome to my channel. It's been a while. I look like this because I wasn't gonna make a video, but I thought I've been putting on this video for so long just because I feel like I want to get back into making videos, but I kind of feel like I want to maybe get out of the way why I've just been ghost for a while. And this is maybe like a video diary for me, maybe. So excuse how I look. This is just how I look. Black people wrap their hair, get over it. It is what it is. We don't have, the same hair. We all have different hairs and everything. And it's Saturday and it's raining, and this is me just chilling at home, I look like this when I'm just hanging out, just chilling, relaxing by myself. So I thought, okay, I need to hop onto the camera because I was going to do some editing, but like I said, I don't want to have to get into editing or uploading videos or get into the swing of things until I've almost kind of like coughed up what had been holding me back for a good few months now. Yeah, but anyway, before I get into the video, welcome to my channel. I hope that this video is gonna reach someone who is or has maybe experienced the same thing that I have, and hopefully take some sort of comfort from this video. I hope that you know that you're not alone. Life goes on. We have to keep trying, but at the same time, if you're not there yet, it's okay. Just take it one day at a time, and hopefully you will find your level ground and you will find yourself in a space where you are able to do more, and not only do more, but do things that you enjoy doing as well, or things that are meaningful to you and you want to do for ever and ever and ever and ever. So don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's all good. I still send you peace, love and nothing but good vibes. So yeah, basically back in February, I started to prepare for what was going to be a life-changing I guess event, process, or whatever you want to call it, in my life. I'd applied for a doctorate in clinical psychology, which is the basically training. So you effectively work and study for 3 years, and obviously the harder you work, you'll see your results, and hopefully by the end of the 3 years you do qualify as a psychologist, clinical psychologist. The process usually starts from about September, when they open the applications for people to apply, up until June, yeah, up until June. So like if you start your application and you're able to go through possible pre-selection tests and then interviews, the whole process from start to finish is from September to June. I've applied a few times before this year, well, last year, for this year's intake. And every time I've applied, I've never got as far as getting how close I got this year. Usually it's the kind of, unfortunately. And I guess when you've applied for it more than once, you start to kind of build some sort of like thick skin. So you get your disappointing news and you just kind of brush it under the carpet and you keep moving, because that's just what you have to do. You can't really sit and dwell on it for too much. So anyway, you apply to four universities, but each university differ in the way and how they do their own process. So some universities decide to do pre-selection tests, which means you have to take a test if you meet the minimum requirement for the course, and then from that they're able to whittle down people a little bit more, and then they can pick who they want to invite for interviews or whatever. And then some people just go some universities don't do pre-selection tests and they'll go straight to interviews. I'm kind of talking about this in a way that people who don't know the process of the clinical psychology program and the course can understand. But I'm pretty sure, what I hope that people who are part of the process, who are aspiring clinical psychologists and are APs, or, you know, are like, you know, in the field of psychology and want to kind of branch off into clinical psychology, will hopefully understand where I'm coming from and the emotions involved. So one of the universities I applied to out of the 4 had invited me to the pre-selection test, which was was standard procedure. You meet the minimum requirement, you get selected for a pre-selection test. And initially, I was really nervous about it because I'm not really fond of tests. My strong points are interviews, or so I thought. So I was really nervous about the taking the test, and even more so, I guess because I've sat a test in the past for for another university. I was more worried about it being like a similar kind of test. But obviously, you know, universities are different, and so different universities, even though the ones that do the pre-selection test, they might have different types of tests that they kind of use. Luckily, the test that I had to sit for for this year's intake was perfect for me in the sense that it really was around what was happening in society last year. So if you think around the whole Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, inequality, discrimination, so it was right up my alley, and that's something that, you know, taken aside from the fact that a young Black woman is something that I hold dear to my heart anyway, because I don't believe in unfairness. I don't believe in inequality. I can't get my head around it. I mean, I know how it's come about and I know why it exists, but I just don't. I guess fundamentally the human inside of me just can't understand why people, you know, can't be kinder to other people and be more fair to other people, and everything like that. Why can't we just all live in harmony? Vote for world peace, guys. But I sat the test. Like I said beforehand, I was really, really nervous, but I sat the test, and when I sat the test, I froze. I think days leading up to that, I did all my preparation. I was very diligent in the way that I was, you know, preparing and, you know, revising and reading on, you know, articles and literature. So I spent a lot of time leading up to it, you know, preparing. And during this time, I took a huge step back from a lot of people, from my friends, from my family. I wasn't, you know, responding to text messages I mean, I'm really terrible at responding to text messages anyway. Around this time as well, there were other things that were going on. So I was having to deal with a lot of issues with my housing situation at the time, as well as kind of like figuring out a lot of personal things as well, friendships and understanding, you know, what roles people played in my life and what kind of friendships I had, and were people genuine or were people just out for themselves, and understanding, I guess, fundamentally as humans, people will always look out for the best interest. And I guess during that time, learning all these things was very hard for me, because it was kind of like having to come to peace with that, and it amongst everything else that was going on. So I was having to kind of, you know, there was a lot of self-development, like internal self-development going on, as well as kind of, you know, things with friendships and also things with housing and stuff like that. So it was a very stressful time, to say the least. And then on top of that, I had to revise and prepare for this. And as well, a lot of kind of health stuff was going on too. I was really struggling with insomnia at the time as well, which had an effect on my mental health. I wasn't sleeping. I was hallucinating a lot. Very vivid hallucinations with people touching me, and people, like, you know, things coming into my room, people coming into my room, hearing sounds, seeing things. It gets very interesting, but I might save that for a different video. So in a summary, there was a lot going on. And I did all my preparation, and then I sat the test, and during that test, leading up to that test anyway, I think my brain started to feel a sense of kind of, I need to protect you in a way. What started to happen was I started to feel really numb to a lot of things. I started to feel really numb to kind of things going on around me and how things that I was seeing, and I recognized that I wasn't feeling emotion. It was almost like the switch was just flipped off, and I just did not feel, I didn't feel anything. I felt like a robot. I felt like a zombie. I didn't feel like I cared. I didn't feel like I loved. I didn't feel like I was happy. I didn't feel like it was just really bizarre, and I recognized that. So as I was sitting the test or whatnot, because I was just kind of almost like numb to the whole thing, I wasn't really feeling that kind of, okay, this is a big deal. And I knew it was a big deal, but it's almost like my brain and my heart wasn't connecting. I guess in a way, that's how I want to explain it. Sat the test, adamant, like without a shadow of a doubt, adamant that I had failed that test. I think I had just about 30 seconds to kind of check over my questions, check over my answers, what I was going through. I didn't even finish reading through my answers, and then the screen timed out because it was all done virtually. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm down to three universities now. I've completely messed that one up. Okay, now let's focus on the 3 other universities. And obviously, as the results started coming through, because the 3 other universities didn't do pre-selection tests, I started to get the no's. So unfortunately, and then it's like, oh, okay. The other 3 universities have all said no. Now it's down to the one that I was so sure that I had completely messed up and failed. I know I've messed it up, and I'm telling my brain that so I don't feel the pain of what I think I might potentially feel, or the disappointment, if I should say, of what I think I might potentially feel again. So I can just almost like prepare myself for it. Then the email came through and it was congratulations. And I remember I just kind of like I literally just dropped to the floor, start crying, start praying. And then once I was able to kind of gather myself a little bit, the first thing I did was call my dad. Anyway, I'm digressing here. I'm giving you too many details. But fast forward to the interview. I mean, bearing in mind that after receiving that email, there was a lot of waiting in between. The time between receiving the email and actually taking and actually having the interview, there was a lot of restlessness. Finally got the date for the interview. Obviously was preparing and everything, did what I had to do. Again, I'm very good with kind of, if I know that I have something to do, just focusing, almost going to hyperfocus and just, doing what I gotta do. So took the interview, but by this point, the nerves were in full effect. Whereas before I wasn't feeling anything, now I was feeling everything, and I was stumbling, and I'm thinking to myself, like, interviews are usually my strong point. Interviews are usually where I can, I can shine a little bit. It was like I wanted to speak, and things that I wanted to say just wasn't coming out. My brain was just half dead and half trying to like save the other side that was dead. It was just a really hot mess. So I ended that interview knowing full well that I hadn't performed at the very best that I knew that I could. And that alone was a weight to carry. And then again, after the interview, you have to wait for the results. So the results came out, and I can't remember the time scale, but I just remember there was a lot of waiting throughout this whole process. The results came out, and then I got reserved for offer. Literally within the first few seconds, it was like I didn't register what that meant. And then I was like, okay. So I didn't really get a place. I kind of got a place, but I have to wait for something to happen for me to fully get a place. And so, that's when the kind of constant checking blogs and constant checking pages, which is something that I've never done before. And again, my friends can vouch for me for that. I'm usually quite chill and, what comes. But I was just constantly checking because at this point, I realized how much I was banking on receiving this place. A lot had been happening in my life, and the whole year had been horrible for a lot of people. with everything that was happening in my life at the time, it was almost like that little glimmer of hope that was going to be some form of good news. And it was kind of at the same time that I wasn't just doing it for me, I was doing it to help, like really truly to help my family, my parents, to be more specific. And so, waiting to find out if, someone had given up their place, or if they had funded more places, so actually no one didn't have to lose their place or give away their place. We could all be on the course and everything. And as the days were going by, I was just checking every day, checking the website, checking blogs. When I say the website, the official website, which is where you have to apply through. And nothing was changing. And, trying to get hold of the university was very, very difficult. And, I imagine that they were quite busy and everything, but it was very, very difficult to get hold of the university. And that, I guess, in a way was causing a lot of, or adding to the kind of the anxiety and the stress that already was there. It was kind of like just growing and growing. And that's when I started to feel like I was in limbo. Finally managed to get through to the university, and I was told that the places were full. Unfortunately, I wasn't told which place I was on the reserve list, which some universities do, some universities don't. That's fine. And I remember when I finally got that news that they'd filled up all the spaces on the course. It was... Thinking about it now just makes me sad to this day. And it was like... It was like every single hope just left me completely. That kind of light at the end of the tunnel that I was holding on to, not just for myself, but for my family. Completely vanished, and I just sunk into a really deep, dark place. Worked really hard and not a reckless person, and trying to find a way out, not just for myself, but for my family, by doing something that I know also... Ooh, y'all, I need to come back. One sec. Okay. By doing something that wasn't, only going to be for me, that, something that I'd worked hard at, but was also going to put me in a place where I can support my parents as well, but also knowing that I was doing something as well to help other people, which is predominantly who I am as a person. That was really hard. That was really, really hard. And, some people might say, well, maybe you're not tough. Maybe you don't have enough tough skin. But this is years of hard work. This is not just a one-time, two-time thing. And you have to wonder, at what point does the hard skin that you develop become too hard that it starts to crack and fade, flake away, and all you're left with is the soft flesh underneath, which is what I felt. I felt very vulnerable. I felt very lost. I was in a very dark place. And just like to say as well, like, this is not just like something that was just happening. I was still having to deal with everything else that was going on and had been going on, like I said at the start of the video. Yeah, I fell into a really dark place, and I just didn't see a life that was worth living. I didn't see a future. I never felt that much pain, that much kind of just pain. Sorry guys. But luckily I had my sister's friend, I had my family, my brother, who all stood up and stepped up and was there for me. I had my good friends. You know, I had a handful of people who were persistent enough to not let the darkness to completely consume me, even though it was happening. It happened. There was no light for me at all. Since then I've been slowly trying to rebuild my mental energy and kind of take myself back to trying to understand, I guess, and reflect and think about the process and what could be done to help improve the process, but also what could be done as an individual for yourself. This was just a video diary. I hope that this reaches someone. And if you went through a similar experience, please know that somehow through this screen I understand. And if it's something that is still on your heart and you still want to pursue, please keep pursuing it. We need more people that can help other people, but also please make sure you're okay enough to do so. Yeah, I didn't expect this video to be long. I didn't want it to be long, so I don't know how well this video is going to be received, but I do hope it reaches someone, and I hope that you know that you're not alone, and I'm rooting for you. Just keep going. So now that I've got this video out of the way, I want to start back on this channel, and I want to start being creative and creating videos and doing things that help, boost your mental energy, and are meaningful and makes life worth living. So I hope you've taken something from this video, and I hope this video has reached you well. Look after yourself, look after the people around you, spread nothing but good vibes, and genuinely mean that. Spread love. Life isn't smooth sailing. Life isn't easy peasy lemon squeezy. Kiss and hug someone today. Open a door for someone today. Make someone smile. Yeah. So until the next video. I'm tired. We out. Peace.